Welcome to Uncontained, episode 27, the lost episode. I am your host, Aaron Static Render. This episode was actually recorded back before I launched my podcast, okay? Well, I was building up episodes and came across it the other day, and I was like, I need to get this on the air. I need to get this posted. So this episode was recorded back probably in January or very early February before this podcast got off the ground. It's an interview with musician Kevin Patrick talking about his solo project, Field Medic. They're based out of San Francisco. If you haven't checked them out, they're very folky sounding, and he's influenced by hip-hop a little bit. You may notice that in some of his beats with the drum machine. But yes, I am glad I found this episode and finally getting this out to you guys, the Uncontained audience. You may notice a few things different format-wise about the show, more like it was at the beginning since this was recorded earlier. But I'm not going to waste any more of your time or make you wait any longer to hear this episode since, well, it has finally been found. But before the interview actually does start, I will hook you up with a track from Field Medic off their CD, The Light Is Gone. This is Neon Flowers.
How about this clarity, clarity? Oh, my thoughts were chasing after her. Neon flowers, firecracker. Here's why I'm the only one who takes this heavy. Oh, all my thoughts were chasing after her. Neon flowers, firecrackers. I just wanted to hurt him. I didn't want to have to make you hear me. All my thoughts were chasing after her. Neon flowers, firecrackers. I'm the water, the crunch of snow, the gray moss, the paintbrush.
How's it going, Kevin?
It's going good, dude. How are you?
I'm doing good. So you're in the band. You're in two bands, actually, correct? Field
Yeah.
Medic and Rin Tin Tiger.
Yeah.
You just put out a new CD with Field Medic. What is that titled?
So the new album is called Light Is Gone. It's my first full-length. Field Medic's actually my Rin Tin Tiger is my band, but Field Medic's my solo project. So this is my first full-length solo album.
How does your band and your solo project differ? A lot of people put out, like, a lot of musicians be like, this is my solo project, and it's not very different from the original band. How do you feel your solo project and Rin Tin Tiger differ?
So Rin Tin Tiger started basically because I was playing solo before, and then my brother joined me on bass, and then we recorded one album together as we were called Westwood and Willow, and then we got a drummer to play with us for a show we had at Noise Pop in 2011. So then we had him join the band and then changed the band name because the sound kind of changed a little bit. So Westwood and Willow is more what Field Medic is like now, kind of where I started with songwriting and acoustic music and finger picking and folk sort of stuff. And Rin Tin Tiger has evolved into more of a indie rock band that has elements of punk, and it's more rhythmic, I guess. And Field Medic is more melodic and just more confessional or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I was actually listening to the CD that you sent me today, walking around, listening to it, and it was like a soundtrack was playing in the background.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. Thank you.
I also read on there that for Field Medic, you record all the instruments when you record?
Yeah, I do it all myself.
do you perform live? And if so, do you have other people come on stage with you?
I don't play too often as field medic, but when I do, I'm playing in like smaller rooms, kind of like listening rooms or living rooms. So I usually just play acoustic, but there's a couple of tracks I have that have beats on them that I made with a drum machine. So my last show, the album release show, I actually played with a boombox accompanying me, but I haven't played with anyone else yet.
Okay, yeah, I noticed that like the on the second song, it went from the folky sound to I was almost expecting like a rap coming up with the beat change. It was like, is he gonna switch it up on me?
Yeah, I love rap music a lot. So when we started Rent and Tiger, I actually used that sort of as like a platform to rap. Not that I actually rap in the band, but I would just write these songs that didn't really have a lot of melody, but just had tons of lyrics. And since I finally had a drummer, I sort of saw that as rapping. But then when I started, I used to actually be a rapper when I was in high school, but it was not good. I don't. But then when I started using drum machines for my solo stuff, especially that track, the second song, Neon Flowers, the beat is super hard, and that I just love hard beats. So it's cool to bring the two together.
It definitely caught your attention, popping out from the other music. There's a couple tracks, as you said, that have the drum beat on them.
Yeah.
They kind of pop out, but you can definitely tell the folk influence. Who are some of your influences?
So I really love Nick Drake, and Bob Dylan was one of my earliest influences of someone that really changed my perspective on songwriting.
I can definitely tell the Dylan influence. Like the first track that I heard from you, I was like, this guy definitely has an influence from Bob Dylan.
Yeah, you could hear that a lot, like in the Rintin Tiger songs too. It was like a lot when I was still kind of like passing through that phase. And I love this guy named Fionn Reagan. He's a contemporary Irish songwriter, and The Tallest Man on Earth, who's from Sweden. I just really love, and Joni Mitchell is one of my number one most important influences as well. Just basically anybody that writes lyrics that are more like poetry, and
Okay.
and I love Tupac as well.
Right on. Definitely jumps out at you with in that influence, but still, he definitely had some great lyrics. So kind of goes along with the lyricist aspect.
Yeah, that's what I'm all about. Like if I could make a living being a poet or yeah, if I could make a living being a poet, I would. But when you put words to music, it's a little bit easier for people to digest.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It makes it music. Every culture, every language can understand like a guitar riff, but not words. So it kind of makes it universal.
Yeah, and it's also fun to sing. Like sometimes when I'm feeling dark, I think about how I just want to move to a cabin in the woods and start writing and never see anyone ever again. But I also enjoy performing and recording and stuff. So I just like language.
Right on. You mentioned recording. Did you record your own CD?
Yeah, all my solo stuff except for two. So I put out 7 EPs and this is my first album. So all except two of those things I recorded myself. And I record all to cassette on a Tascam 4 track. And actually my label Sunroom Records and Salon, we put everything out on cassette as well.
Yeah, it said that you recorded to cassette and then you digitized it. Is that for any specific reason, like as far as stylistic choices, or
Well, so when I was in high school, somebody had given me a cassette recorder, a 4 track, and I did a lot of recording on that before I had a established group or anything. And when Rent and Tiger started, we were doing recording or digital recording. And then the first EP that I put out, as field medic that I recorded myself was this EP called Pegasus Thoughts, and that's the first one that I had done on cassette. And I'd always wanted to put out an album that I recorded all to cassette, but my band was not comfortable with just releasing something that was sort of like quote unquote demo quality or whatever. So
yeah.
I just like the way that sounds. Like that's a place where I like because we do all the recording in my house as well. So a lot of the stuff on the new album and previous albums I record, in the kitchen or in my room. and it's just more comfortable place for me to record than to go into a studio. Also, it's also because I don't have any money, so I can get a 4-track for like $40 on Craigslist, and I find all my cassettes at thrift stores, and so everything that I use to record is hell cheap, and that's part of the reason why I do it as well.
Right on, right on. Yeah, you gotta. Right now, I'm recording in my house too. I don't have a fancy studio, not to blow the illusion. So, I understand working with what little money you got to put on a show.
Exactly.
So, where do you draw inspiration for your music?
Girls and anxiety and I guess happiness too, I find most of my music comes from sort of a spooky place. When I start to feel really spooked out, I'll start writing, and I get a lot of inspiration from reading books and reading poetry and being spooked out by day-to-day events. Um, yeah, just I guess the world and girls and fear and being spooked.
Okay. All right. That's kind of an interesting combination there. Girls fear the world and spooked. I guess they can all spook you at the same time too.
Oh yeah, it's a straight up quadruple spook.
Yes, a quadruple spook right there. Is there a track like you would release as a single off of this Light Is Gone CD?
So I put out one of the tracks that has a beat on it. It's called Exploding Eyes. That was a song about how I kind of robbed a bank, or actually, I robbed this dentist in Los Angeles. I cashed this stolen check for him by some guys that asked me to cash a check for them. I was in a weird mood when I did it. No, I didn't do it on purpose, but I
How old
basically
were you
like,
when this happened?
dude, this happened like last year.
Last year, okay.
Yeah, I was walking up the street and these guys came up to me and they're like, basically, just long story short, they asked me, somehow they got my attention and convinced me that they were chill. And he told me that his sister had been in a car accident and said that she needed to get this payment for her insurance, but if she reported it, she was going to get her license suspended because she already had a point on her license or something. So then, and this guy was claiming that his bank account was overdrafted. So then I was like, okay, I guess I'll cash this check for you. And then when his bro showed up to give me the check, it was for like $4,700. And but I have a clean history at the bank, so then I cashed it and then I gave them the money. Immediately knew that I had done something hella sketch. And so then I went home and I was hella spooked. And then there was just like a whole fiasco. It all turned out okay in the end, but that song Exploding Eyes is kind of about making a mistake that seems really stupid, but at the time you were just in motion, so you couldn't really stop yourself. And so that song I put out as a single. That one has a music video. I actually just finished another music video for a track on the album called Glitter that I'm uploading right now. And I have a couple. I'm
Okay.
gonna put out this song. I'm gonna. Yeah, I think it's hard to say though because a lot of the tracks are so different. Like they're all part of the same family, but they all have different vibes.
Glitter's the one about doing coke with strippers and fucking movie stars, correct?
Yeah,
I remember that track as I was listening to it. I was like, kind of like the lyrics on this one.
yeah. Thanks, dude.
Is that from real life experience on that one, or?
Well, that track. So like this album is sort of based around like I wouldn't say like an intense breakup because not like anything intense happened, but it was like me and somebody that I love split apart and I was alone after I just finally had this experience of really sharing my whole life with somebody. And so the lyrics in that chorus are sort of like it's because the verses are all kind of dark about going to bury a rose and all this sort of stuff, but the chorus is like a fantasy, like, oh, but it's okay. I don't need you anymore because I fuck movie stars. Like, it's all good. I'm doing drugs because, like, you know, I mean, the difference between being a bachelor and not
Gotcha.
being a bachelor is like when you're a bachelor, like you'll be hella naughty. I mean, I've been hella naughty for like over a year now, and I'm not quite to the point of chilling with strippers yet, but that is plan when the time comes.
It's good to
I
have a
would like
plan,
to.
man.
Yeah, exactly. I would hope to be like in the VIP room. Well, actually, like the thing is, I think I want to take the strippers out of the strip club. I want to give them a better life. I want them
Oh,
to
the
just come
knight in shining
backstage.
armor. The knight in
Yeah,
shining armor syndrome.
I want to save them, and but I want them to chill. Like I want to chill with multiple of them at a time. But the thing is, I don't even think we wouldn't even be sleeping together. You know what I mean? Like they'd just be my friends
Oh, they'd just
because
be your
they would understand the hustle, and we could confide in each other.
They do understand hustle. I will definitely
Yeah,
tell you that. Strippers are the queens of hustle, queens of hustle, whatever.
yeah, I
Uh,
can only imagine.
they're like hustle scientists.
Yeah, I mean that must be such a hard job, dude, and a spooky job at that.
A spooky job. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got some creepers out there.
Oh God.
So, strippers hanging out with them, doing blow. So, do you know any movie stars to make this part of your fantasy come true?
I mean, I'm working on it, dude. Like, I don't know any. I mean, I don't currently know any strippers. I don't know any movie stars, but hopefully that'll change soon. I also, you and I know each other from working in the financial district. Dude,
Yes.
I see so many executive ladies that I want to chill with, dude. It makes me upset on a daily basis because you'd think that working in a coffee shop for like as long as I have, I've been there for like 3.5 years. Some of these ladies would like some like hot like older lady would take a liking to me,
Find yourself a sugar mama.
but none of them have, dude. I'm looking,
No
yeah,
sugar
that's what I'm looking
mamas?
for.
Do you
None,
let
dude.
them know you
It's
play music?
sort of like when they ask, but I also I don't like to like blow up the spot, you know. I guess I'm kind of shy, like in a weird. I'm not actually shy, but I have a hard time making small talk with people.
Understandable, understandable. Just when they
It's,
come in, you see a sugar mama that you want, just be like, "Hi, I'm a musician. What would you like for your coffee? Want to adopt me?"
I'd be like, look, I want to come live in your condo, and like I'll definitely just clean it while you're gone, and then we can hang out and like go for drives and talk about stuff. I don't care if you're divorced; it's cool. Like I like mature ladies. I don't know.
Yes,
I've been thinking about that a lot. I can't help it, dude. You know they're super hot. All
yes,
these
definitely,
chicks,
man. You gotta love the milfs,
dude. I
the
love the
executive
milfs.
milf.
Yes, dude. That's it. That's like this piece of me that's missing that I'm looking for all the milfs out there.
So, throw out a email address or like a Twitter or something for all the milfs to get a hold of you after they hear this. Like for milfs wanting to adopt a young musician.
Just look up field medic on. Well, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't mix this with my professional my professional business as a songwriter. Just come down to Pete's BBM at 22 Battery Street and look for the weird guy, and that's me.
You don't want to mix it with your music, like sex, drugs, rock and roll. But you like, well, I don't want to mix it with my music, but come down to Pete's. I'll make you some coffee.
Exactly. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I just like, dude, I can't handle it. I was like really, really ruminating on the thought of hot executive ladies all day today. And it was just, but yeah, I mean, that's a piece of the songwriting process, pining for sexy older women.
Yes, yes. It creates a void that you have to fill, so write a song about it, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. That's why songwriting is cathartic because you could just think about stuff and then sing about it. It's also good in like if you're feeling violent to talk about something fucked up in a song instead of actually doing something fucked up in real life.
Exactly. I feel the same way. Like, I don't necessarily write songs about it, but I'll listen to some songs that talk about doing some crazy shit, like some Slipknot or some heavy metal that a lot of people say, "Oh my God, that makes the kids crazy these days." But in reality, it just calms their nerves a little bit, gives them an outlet. So, you could be like listening to a song about people equal shit or something like that. And make yourself feel better so you don't go out and kick the bum on the street.
Yeah, dude, for sure. I think about that a lot, especially like with Slipknot too, because I love that band. When I was young, I used to listen to Iowa all the time, and still like, I even was just watching a live stream of one of their concerts like a couple weeks ago, and I feel like when you see them play live, it's like you're in hell. And he's like everybody put your middle fingers up, like fuck you, like fuck everything. I'm gonna like slit your throat and fuck the wound. And like on surface, that sounds hella spooky. But like the fact that you're saying it in a song instead of actually doing it, and also like I feel like being in that concert environment where people are like moshing and shit, I feel like there's like a familial vibe there where you're getting
It
out those feelings in a positive way.
it is. It is. It's awesome. I'm actually from Iowa too. When I was working at the radio station, I got a chance to interview Corey Taylor,
No way,
the lead
dude.
singer from Slipknot. Yeah, and I actually got to ask him one of the questions that I heard a rumor about and wanted to know the answer to. It was about a
Uh-huh.
song off the first CD that they put out called Eyeless. And basically, what that song is about is the first time they went to New York. There's a line in the song where it's like you can't see California without Marlon Brando's eyes. And first time they were in New York at Roadrunner Records, some homeless guy came up to him, looked Corey Taylor right in the eye, and was like, "You can't see California without Marlon Brando's eyes," and just ran away. And it just like stuck in his head. And so he's like, I had to write a song about it.
Dude, that's so cool.
So yeah, it's like I'd love to interview them again, get them on the podcast here, but that
Dude,
might
you
be
gotta
a
get them
couple
on the
episodes off.
podcast. Yeah, maybe
It'll
like
be
one or two, but then they'll come around to it. They'll see it.
yes, yes, and they're. I'm not pretending I know Slipknot. So many people in Iowa are like, dude, I know Corey Taylor. Yeah, I know all the guys from Slipknot. No, you don't. You may have met him once, but you don't know him.
Dude, that guy
Sorry,
has the
sorry for the
craziest vocal
rant.
range. Yeah, no,
He
for
he
sure.
does. He can sing like melodically, like in Stone Sour,
Yep.
and even some of the newer Slipknot songs. Which to me, for Slipknot, it's weird hearing melodicness and not anger with Slipknot, you know.
For
But
sure, for sure.
definitely Stone Sour, I can definitely see it. They've kind of blurred the bands a little bit. Not talking shit about either of them, but
Hmm.
he has a hell of a range.
Well, it's like, but I do think that I feel the same way with you about the melodic sort of singing in Slipknot. But when I was watching this live concert, it was like a stream of a concert. They were playing a bunch of new songs too. But even though they've gotten a little bit less brutal, like they still have that signature Slipknot sound where the riffs are just so fucking brutal. Their sound is so tight. I saw them play in San Jose when I was like 12, and it was one of the sickest shows I've ever seen.
Yeah, they do put on a hell of a show. When you started telling that story, I thought you were gonna say you saw a YouTube video of them where they actually perform "Living La Vida Loco" by Ricky
What?
Martin. Yeah, it's some joke. I kept on expecting. Google it. It's on YouTube. Um,
Oh, it's that video where they like dub "Livin' La Vida Loca" over them performing live, right?
no, they are
Do they
singing
actually play
it.
it?
They
Oh
actually
shit, I
play it,
gotta.
and Corey Taylor actually sings it like Ricky Martin. And like I kept on expecting them to metal it out at some point, but it never
Yeah,
happened. Like that's what I thought you were gonna go to on that story. I think I talked about that with
I gotta check that out.
one of my other interviews, but check it out. It sounds just like, you'd expect to hear at a pop band, but you see all these guys in like freaky costumes, Slipknot outfits singing it.
Dude, that's sick. I'm definitely gonna check that out.
And as I said in a previous interview, I think it's almost more metal that they didn't like try to metal it out
Dude,
and
totally.
just went and committed balls on to doing it as Ricky Martin. But it still would have been cool to hear a metal version of "Livin' La Vida Loca."
Yeah, it's probably out there somewhere, but I think you're right. It's way more brutal that they just stuck to the classic "Livin' La Vida Loca."
Yeah, definitely shows that they don't give a fuck.
Yeah, that's what life's all about, not giving a fuck.
It
That's
is,
what I
and back
learned as I get older.
Yes, it helps out a lot. It's easier not to worry about, oh, what does that MILF at the coffee shop think about me? You know?
Hmm.
It's like, I don't care. I'm just going to be myself. If they don't like it, fuck them.
Yeah, exactly. You have to just approach situations like yourself and be the best version of yourself as you can. And if people don't feel you, then it doesn't matter because they're not chill.
Yeah. Going back to Slipknot on this, you were mentioning
Yeah.
that, yes, they have gotten a little bit softer and stuff like that. But, think about it from a point of view of the musician. You're young when you start out, you're angry at the world, pissed at everything, you have nothing but the anger, so you
Hmm.
put that out there. But then you start making money, start getting houses, multiple cars and stuff. You lose things to be pissed off about.
Dude, totally.
It's more real, I guess, if they do kind of mellow out a little bit. Unless they actually are that pissed at the world. Like, a band that never really mellowed out was Pantera.
Yeah. Like I think about that mentality a lot because when I was younger, I was in a bunch of screamo post-hardcore bands. And then when I see bands like Bring Me the Horizon or like Architects or like bands or Slipknot too that are still like very relevant, they're still popular enough to go on headlining tours and sell hell albums, but
Yeah.
they're still so brutal. I'm just thinking like Jesus Christ, it'd be so strenuous to keep up that energy level being at a band like that for 4 or 5 years, like, because I think it's like you're saying, when you grow up you sort of, or grow up, especially if you grow up and you become successful and you start being able to make a living playing music and all this kind of stuff, it's like you're not necessarily pissed off enough to like you want people to mosh in a circle pit or something, like, but the fan base expects you to have that energy level because that's why they like you in the first place. So I'm kind of glad that I got out of the post-hardcore scene and started doing more folk music because that seems a little bit more sustainable. But I also wished I only reason I quit playing heavy music is because I used to be able to scream, but then when my voice changed, I lost my scream. I couldn't scream anymore.
Really? Eh,
Yeah, it was really
there's
depressing.
there is a certain technique for screaming. I
Hmm.
don't know if you've ever heard of there's a DVD out called The Zen of Screaming or the
Yeah,
Tao, yeah, Zen of
I
Screaming.
I got
And
that actually, and I still just like couldn't figure it out.
yeah, over the pencil, under the pencil type thing. Like have some serious talent on that DVD as well, such as like Randy Blythe from Lamb of God and
Yeah,
stuff like
so
that.
chill. Yeah, and like the fool from Every Time I Die, Keith Buckley, is that his name?
That I am not sure of their names in that band, but that may be it. Yes.
Yeah, I love that band too.
Did you like my way around that answer? Yeah, I don't know if
Yeah,
that's his name or not, but
you're
I
like, I'm
kind
not
of
sure
took
what
the
their names are, but I think the
I,
band is
I
chill.
I took the political answer to that. I was like a
Yeah,
politician. Yes, I think yeah, answered the question without answering it. I was
yeah,
maybe I should run for president. I don't know.
dude, I would vote for you or mayor in San Francisco right now. It's pretty relevant. You might still be able to get the ballot in.
There you go. Maybe I have more of a chance at that than president. After all, Donald Trump is running.
Oh, I dude, if he wins, we're fucked. But I feel like people are so hyped on him because he's a celebrity that he might. But I doubt it. I don't know.
When I was reading your website, Kevin, I saw
Yeah.
that you have your own record label. Is that correct?
Yeah, I run a cassette record label out of my house in the Excelsior called Sunroom Records and Salon. The reason why it's also a salon is because when I first started it about a year and a half ago, I cut my own hair, my roommate's hair, and so at the time I was just like really into being like a hair cutter or something, and I almost went to cosmetology school when I graduated high school, but that's why I tacked the salon on the end. But salon also can mean like a gathering of art or something, because like there'd be like Parisian salons where artists would showcase their work. So it's a salon also in the sense that it's just we have a little gallery in our house called the People's Gallery, and the record label is it's a record label, but it's more of a community. It's a cult. We're all just together. We're all just unified. It's just a way basically for all my friends and myself to have a creative circle and like positive reinforcement from each other. to do cool stuff.
Right on, right. So, are there other? Do you have other friends in bands that are in this record label Cult Salon?
So the members of my cult consist of myself and three of my roommates. So Field Medic, which is my solo stuff, is on the label, and then my roommate named Trace, who goes by Albion Moonlight, is on the label. My roommate Wayne, who goes by Windmills, is on the label, and my friend Derek, who actually also plays in a band called Owlpaws, his solo music, Derek Ted, is on the label. And then I have one friend in Los Angeles called Rest or Not. This guy named Nick, who actually was the inspiration behind my label because he has a cassette label called Kerchow Records. And then my friend Steven B. Boot, who you might have heard coughing here and there in this
Yes,
interview,
I
is actually he's actually here right now, and we're going to be making some tapes to put out his EP on the label too. So there's officially six people on the label, but it's like it's close knit. I don't really like I'm not like a businessman, so I don't really work with anybody unless they're actually just like my bre and I really like their music. And a lot of us on the label have bands or have had bands, but I noticed when I started making my solo stuff, and then when I looked around my house, I realized that all my roommates were doing the same thing. They had a band or something that was a little bit more produced and had some big idea behind it, but then they were all writing solo tracks as well that they would just kind of record and then maybe forget about. So I kind of wanted to make a place where we all could just share those recordings of more intimate songs. And yeah, that's basically the story of the label.
okay. And was that one friend in LA the person who had you cash that check?
No, he didn't have me cash the check. The people that had me cash the check were literally strangers on the street, and I just, for some reason, was super gullible at the time. I can't really explain it because, like, when I tell the story, it sounds really dumb. But for some reason, the thing is, like, that event and a couple things prior to that were like leading up towards my like losing faith in humanity phase where I realized that you just can't really trust everybody until they give you a reason to trust them. And I don't know, it was eye opening, and everything's okay. Like, so I just look at it as a lesson.
Okay. All right. Yeah, definitely. You gotta learn from that, and you got away with it, and hopefully escaped all chances of
Yeah.
prosecution on it.
Well, what happened was I felt super shady right after it happened, so I went straight back to the bank, and I went up to go talk to somebody, and I explained to them what had just happened, and they were like, "Dude, that's hella sus. Like, let's pull up the check." So then what they did is they photocopied the check for me, which was allegedly from somebody's lawyer or something. But then when I looked at it, the check was signed DDS, so it was actually a
Yeah.
dentist. So then I called. So then I was hella paranoid and spooked out for like 3 days, and then finally I called the number on the check, got in touch with the guy, and told him the story just straight up. I was like, dude, this happened. I honestly like I don't know. I know it sounds hella stupid, but you got to believe me. And so then I think because I got in touch with him, he realized that I wasn't being sketch because I gave them all
Yeah.
the money. Like it was just like literally one of the spookiest things ever. But I feel like I handled it the best way that I could, and it was weird. But it's weird because of that scenario, I ended up just in my house. I was too because the bank was right down the street from my house, so I was too spooked out to leave my house really, except for to like walk around the corner to buy beer or something. So I was just in my house for like 2 or 3 months. I mean, obviously I would go to work, but I was just chilling in the house recording, and that's when I did all the recording of this album. So it's
Okay.
weird how that kind of worked out just by being because my roommate who lives downstairs was on tour for like 2 weeks, so I would just go downstairs and like drink beer and smoke weed and get hella spooked out and record, and that was kind of like so it was like the mix of the breakup and then that thing happening all sort of led to this album. And so I guess I'm thankful for that in that way because now I have an album.
Yeah, yeah. And once again, there's that spookedness inspiring you to write.
Dude, totally. I was so spooked because I had all these songs, other than the songs that are directly related to the event. I had all these songs and I was thinking to myself, well, I'm probably gonna go to jail, or someone's gonna drive by, shoot me or something, or I'm gonna owe these people all this money, so I should record all this music right now before it's too late. So there was like a little bit of that spook factor that actually gave me drive to. I mean, I honestly like, I'm kind of an obsessive worker anyways, but the spookiness really kicked me into gear.
It's amazing how much fear can be a motivating factor. Uh,
Dude, totally.
I guess I've been wondering, where did the name for your solo project, Field Medic, come from?
Okay, this is an interesting story. Actually, it's not that interesting, but so like I said, my old band was called Westwood and Willow, and when we were trying to think of a new band name for what became Rin Tin Tiger, Field Medic was just something I had thought of. I'm not because I'm kind of into the Civil War. I used to be very interested in the Civil War. Like any project I ever did in school where I could choose a subject was about the Civil War. So it's about like the ghosts of the Civil War, or talking about like Abraham Lincoln and stuff. So I think that that's where it came from in my mind. And so I'd suggested Field Medic to be the name for Rinton Tiger, but the guys thought that it was too singular or something. So they were should it be Field Medics, or like is it too spooky? I don't know. So then we ended up going with Rinton Tiger, but then I just kind of just held on to Field Medic, and I'm glad I got to then take it and turn it into this project. And also because I think, because, talking about feeling spooked out, music is medicinal to me. To play music makes me feel a lot better, to distill those feelings and, talk about stuff that I don't necessarily feel comfortable talking about on a one-on-one basis with somebody. So I would hope that, and I mean, and everybody knows that, music has that therapeutic quality. So I like to think like, for me, it's like I'm my own field medic in that sense. Like I heal my own wounds by writing songs about them.
Okay. When you were talking about the name being plural or whatever,
Mhm.
Field Medic versus Medics, have you ever
Yeah.
seen the movie Airheads?
Yeah, I love that
Uh,
movie.
the Lone Rangers? It just reminded me of that. How can you be...
Oh yeah.
Lone Rangers can't be plural.
That's hella funny. I had forgot about that, like in relation to it, but that's hilarious. That movie is I've seen that movie like 10 times. It's
Yeah,
just one of those
actually,
movies you can watch over and over again. I love when they have the guns that are like water guns, but they have hot sauce in them, and he's like spraying it on the burrito.
yes. I guess I can't get armed robbery charges for that since it's just hot sauce. But
Yeah.
what are there any other great movies that you're into, such as like Spinal Tap or something like that?
I think my favorite movie of all time is Pulp Fiction. I can
Okay.
I can watch that movie over and over again. I also love Scarface. I love mob movies more than anything else because I just love bad boys that just kill their enemies without thinking about it. And I think that's like another part of projection. It's like I like to pretend that I'm like gonna just go like stab somebody in the gut, but I probably won't. But I love to watch that and just get pumped on somebody being super sketch like that. So
Living vicariously through art.
yeah, and I love that. That's the beautiful thing about art. So I guess I'll say, it's just hard to say because I actually don't really watch that much. I feel like I find myself only watching movies or TV shows when I'm super depressed and I have like lost my will to do anything. So, but I do love Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, Pulp Fiction is a classic movie, also one of the most quotable movies. There's so many good quotes in that movie.
Dude, totally. The acting and the dialogue is so sick.
And the cast, Bruce Willis, Ving Rhames, yeah, Samuel L. Jackson, John Travolta,
Uma
you
Thurman.
know, Uma Thurman, and the list goes on. But you can't have a much more star-packed movie than that and not have it get all like people competing against each other for screen time. It was like perfect.
Well, I love how all the scenarios are so sort of interplayed. Like they keep cutting between all these alternative lives, but they're all playing together in a weird way too. And by the end of it, everything is sort of all the worlds have touched, and it's so fucking long too. That's what I love about it.
It is. It is definitely a long movie, and Quentin Tarantino, he's awesome at dialogue in his movies.
Dude, yeah, he's a great writer.
Both that and like basically the precursor to Pulp Fiction is Reservoir Dogs, basically the movie that kind of he built off of from that. Not the same plot, but same story structure.
Yeah, I love that movie too. I didn't know that they were like, has he mentioned them being similar, or is that just like, I guess those they,
It's kind of an observation,
yeah.
but Tarantino was that was early Tarantino there for Reservoir Dogs,
Mm-hmm.
and the storylines don't really intertwine at all, but like the story structure, the multiple
Yeah.
stories going on at the same time, jumping around and them intertwining within everything. So it's kind of similar in their non-linear storytelling.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Kevin, we are getting close. Anything else you want to touch on that we haven't touched on? That's kind of what I'm.
I think it's just like anything actually, the point I want to come to is anything is better than the internet because the internet is this big illusion that makes you feel like shit. And you got to live in your own world and forget about all this flashy stuff you're seeing and just realize that whoever you are, you have the power and you just got to overcome bad feelings and just learn to love yourself and don't never give up. You got to follow your dreams to the pits of fucking hell.
Hell yeah. Well said.
Mm-hmm.
Well said. Okay, in closing, I got one more question.
Okay.
Since the show is called Uncontained, I'm asking my guests, like, how do you live uncontained?
I'd say I live my life uncontained in the sense that I've always tried to value what I felt was the right thing to do and never really let anybody deter me from the path that I want to be on. It's similar to that comment about following your dreams to the pits of fucking hell, where I think that I try to live my life uncontained in the sense that I do what I feel is right and try to do what I feel will help people that I feel are doing what is right. And I'm not gonna buy into something that I don't want to get trapped in a lifestyle. Like I find a lot of people that are my age got trapped in going to a university and now they're graduated and they're somehow living back at home and don't know what's going on. Or some people they'll
That
graduate.
is,
It's a classic move, right?
it's a very common story nowadays, too. Like, getting a college degree doesn't make you guaranteed to have a job.
Yeah, it doesn't guarantee you a job and it doesn't guarantee you that you're going to know what to do. And like it's just not, it doesn't really, I think that college is a trap unless you know what you're going there for. But
Yeah, yeah. Like,
yeah,
figure it out and then go to college. Don't use it necessarily to explore everything. But
exactly.
I'm not saying don't go to college, so you listening at home, if that's
So
your dream,
to all
do
you
it.
young
Yeah.
kids, whatever you do, drop out of high school now and don't go to
For all
college.
you young kids, you don't need a damn education. That was the grandpa, and
I
get
like
off
that.
my yard.
That was really good.
Well, thank you, thank you. All right, man. Kevin Patrick, right here on Uncontained. You want to tell people how they can get a hold of you, whether it's the milfs at the coffee shop, or people wanting to listen to some chill music.
Dude, for sure. You could find all my albums at fieldmedic.bandcamp.com. You could also find me on Facebook at facebook.com/fieldmedicmusic. And my Twitter and my Instagram are _fieldmedic. And you can check out my record label and all of my Brez music at Sunroom Records with a Z and Salon.bandcamp.com.
All right, great, man. Thanks for joining me, and keep putting out some music. All right,
Dude,
go
thanks.
get spooked.
Thanks, Brad. I'm already feeling spooked. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot to Kevin Patrick for coming on the show today. And thank you for listening. Please continue to go to iTunes or your favorite podcast player and rate, review, subscribe, and share. Share with your friends, share with people you don't even know, and also check out Kevin's music. Yes, Field Medic. You can get Neon Flowers, the track that you heard at the beginning of the show there, along with much more of his music from Field Medic. So check that out. I will have that in the show notes as well, so you can easily find it. And thank you once again for listening, and as always, live uncontained.